Hello and welcome back to Up the Devil. I'm finally back. I got extremely sidetracked by poker night and whatnot, and Nubby. I know I did one video. I have completed a round of Nubby. I get it now. But it's about time we came back here. Enough fucking around. Let's get back to this mystery. Now I think we last left off with we talked to Jung and Order. That might be the wrong name, but basically David's old friend and David's ex. And I think what's very interesting is that both of them were like, I can't believe he'd take his own life. And I don't know, it's just something about that I've been thinking about, like, just like, would they really, like, if you were really that close, would you really think he would just do that? I don't know, maybe no one really understood David at all. But let's get back to it. I think we went back to his place. I got a sandwich. What's his name? It was Porter. September 18th, 2023. Occupation, musician, bassist, likes itineraries, grilling, champagne, likes resistance training, producers, ads. Yeah, we got that feeling. The best at gift giving, the worst at folding laundry, fave quote, I don't do requests. Yeah, we got a feeling that he did not like ads. Sorry, I gotta shake my Emma around. December 9th. Occupation, VP of Android Futures at Noble Electronics, likes red meat, flower gardens, thread counts. So specific. Likes working from home, shopping online, waiting. Yeah, she's just like, get it done now kind of lady. Language, fluent in 3, enjoys attending baseball games. Okay. Hidden talent, getting children to stop crying. Okay. Anything else? Alright. The basement. Sure you don't want another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Try to approach this from the other angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive. Flip the chessboard and all that. Have you ever read a mystery novel? Seen mystery films? Let's see if you've paid any attention to them. What killed David Asher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Now, how did that poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. What if he had inhaled it? Inhaled it? Why? Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering my questions. I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right, an airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area. And no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms, so all we're left is oral intake. Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai? Jung's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. And the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup, the results are inconclusive. Which is weird, why don't we have an answer? Jung was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup. He didn't get sick. We have to conclude then that David's cup alone was poisoned. That all seems logical. Inconsistent with the police theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0? David left the parlor and came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Young told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So we have to conclude then that he got them both from this bar. Better. 5 points. Yes! Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? Police have been here since we left. According to their ARC files, they didn't find anything that matches the poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then. I need to flip this around again. If you turn something 360 degrees, you're back to... If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have a perfect alibi for the crime. Proving his innocence. But I don't know, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. I think there are. Ooh. What do you mean? This whole building is coated head to toe in penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android, and every floor, it's all plugged into penumbra. Except that. That panel is manufactured by Coder Security System. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse? I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day. My curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. I mean, signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before? It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not... He would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, probably can now that you're registered to me. Aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Really need me to say that? For the purposes of record keeping, yes. I've gotten past the 64-digit code, and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in this room's walls and ceilings. As you theorize, they are on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to, if not the penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. All swallowed in the back of a safe. I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me. He was brilliant more than a little odd. Throwing a little money in, odd becomes eccentric. I see. I think. I don't know, what the hell was he thinking? Was he afraid of? What was he afraid of? Didn't he come to me for... Wait, why didn't you come for me? I'm short. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. Never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's something wrong with my vision. This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation. Wow. David drop a weight? A bunch of times over and over in the same spot? But I feel like that might become relevant. What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? Makes you so sure he wasn't exercising. Did you ever see him use any of this crap? No, but he must have used the weights when I wasn't looking. Since he promised me that he'd take better care of his health. Sure, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like these, even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure, Adonai. Pardon? The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the events in its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the global bank on Fredericksburg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in a suitcase and that he wants his gem bag filled with unmarked bills. The security guard approached him from behind with a nightstick and swings. The man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller had only this to say: "That man was all muscle." The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident. The man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene. And suddenly, the suitcase explodes. It's just a smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money, and recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kritzer wrote the following in his diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality. So great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say. A man like Father can't do just because of how he looks on the outside. Sure, every single word you just said was false. Huh? Don't believe everything you read on the net. Ruse. Liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. Police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. No poison to be found. Not that kind of poison anyway. Which case? Can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have. Sorry. You're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old? Or whatever? She's only 2 years old. Technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up. Maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder. It's a rolling ladder, a kind of step ladder. A kind of step ladder, not a ladder. Oh my god. No. No, 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 no. If we hadn't played that first game, I probably wouldn't have fucking recognized the stepladder reference. When I'm done with these 2 chapters of the Devil, I gotta get to the second Ace Attorney game. It's been a hot minute. I feel like we got to. What? Remember, a ladder extends. The stepladder folds out. And? It's important to note the distinction. I bet my life savings that the subject will never come up again. Ever. We got the stepladder. This is a fucking conversation. Begin. So it's not the original. It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. This is an android, see? I see. A meeting. Or perhaps an encounter? 2 apex forces of nature, 2 kings of the forest, Zag and Tiger. I think. Great, I'm officially less cultured than the robot. Fun. Get a good drink in. Right, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially, the bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Got it open already? can open this door. Hi. It is a Tethy's Basics Sturdicure. That anti-hack feature in the name is real? It's the closest amount of eye. What am I supposed to do now? Strange. There was an if-then toggle embedded in the security parameters. I don't follow. When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. He made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning this is a door that only I can open? It'll be a 6-character password, some combination of numbers or letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word? Thing comes to mind. Is there a code word that he knew only I could learn? Dude, I just fucking guessed that. It's the only... it's the only 6-letter word that only she would have come across, because it's the only 6-letter word that's been repeated to us multiple times. Dude, my brain was just like, 6-letter word that only Morgan would get, and it's the one we've been saying over and over again. That's fucking insane. Oh my god. I didn't think that'd work. David, you sly bastard. It's opening! What was the password on, Night? You never guess. That's awesome. I get another bite in. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But step one in here. But one step in here and it all makes sense. The panic room. Scary. Yeah, what? For a panic, like, why would this guy need a panic room? Maybe he really was, like, super high value. Panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints. So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, someone slipped this into the mix and it remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all of this. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand. You needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sounds, sensations. I can even detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you could smell? Better than any human. And some canines. What does it smell? Does it smell stale in here to you? Stale? It doesn't to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console is password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton Android, and a secret phrase? If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. Wait, I don't have a good thumbnail yet. There we go. It'll be a fun one. Or, unless they give us some actual, like a footage thing. You were looking for camera footage? Sorry, I took another bite. Almost settled for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search the video files. They'll probably be timestamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The camera stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. The most recent video file here was footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday at around 4 p.m. We were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at that time is David himself. Right, let's see it then. Of course, it's just that I'm having difficulty. Try double-clicking. Wait, try double-clicking? I've been trying to open the file from the moment I discovered them, hadn't I? They're encrypted. Damn it, David. Leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your computer? What's the brain on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they may have a backdoor I can bluff them into. You know what I haven't done? I realize it's been a hot minute. There we go. Just in case that this footage isn't right, because it looked like OBS updated. So it looks weird. But I think everything's going fine, so. Just in case. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. It appears to be Father's own work. Shit. David Asher handwrote the encryption on these files. There's no one alive who could. Hey, was Dodge just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special? Adonai, break his encryption, yes or no? Enough time? How much time would that be? I'd estimate it at 2 to 6 hours. It's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it practically difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. You've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes, so long as the work process is rote. So you're doing it in the back of your head. Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the encryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. It's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery? I've copied the encryption files and we'll work on them as we travel. And leave whenever you're ready. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. He did let me get this far. Computer's not the only thing in here. Cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds and holdings, platinum bar? Birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Asher's identity. Down here at the bottom, a binder. Bill's logo on the front. In the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. You're masking it in legalese, even on the table of context, but basically. This is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me. Must be very important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy. Was there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up. Is it a possibility? It is a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. While a beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of... Or is something else. Papers. That Evangeline Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah. Stated to a few weeks back. He already made up his mind about all of this. He had. Why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Like I said, I think he knew he was gonna die or something. I think that's what's happening. I think he knew that he wasn't gonna make it. I had to do whatever he can. That's at least my guess. I still don't know who did it or how they did it. Well, at least we got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. Our evidence. Oh my goodness, we have a lot. A binder containing the full text of David Asher's employment contract with Noble Electronics, details compensations, ground for dismissal, definition of what constitutes a breach of contract, and how arbitrations would be handled. Not a light read. Refuge manufacturing machine that produces organic fluid used in the production of warm androids. Removes byproducts, impurities, and pigments from android blood, thereby changing its color from red to pink. The fact that this is evidence, though, is very interesting, and the fact that it removes byproducts and impurities. Does it work on stuff that's not just android blood? Just a cup with a small amount of whiskey left in it, found upright on the dining table at the scene of the crime. It contains no traces of foreign element. This is important for some reason. David Asher and Helen Junk started at Noble at the same time and position. They would often toast or hard won victories with cheap liquor and plastic cups in commemoration of their first big win. Convincing Noble Electronics to adopt what became known as the one-point doctoring approach to android manufacturing, emphasizing quality over quantity. An identified substance. There's just got a lot in here that we're gonna have to try to remember. Alright. I wanted to see if there was any extra info in that contract. Our board should be plenty, shouldn't it? Now that people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. You get to meet one person who knows what the hell you are. Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings. Unless I had something like this. Wait, was that the right word? Unless I had something like this. It's good that you do. It's good that you do then. Glad that father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah. Why Morgan specifically? Why not his old friends for his ex? Why Morgan specifically? Besides the fact that he would have, besides the possible point that he saw this coming. That is the only, I'm gonna be sticking on that for a bit. Yeah. This will give me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. Yeah, at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying, all colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. I cheer up in the car. Feel us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. There's an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll repair on the way over. Very good, Adonai. Alright, we're in transit. We'll probably stop after, because I feel like we're getting close to where things start getting wild, and it is very late. I want to do this at a not late time. I also did some, like, mentoring today during work. I trained a new guy. I talked a lot, so I really do not want to carry on this part for too long. Or at least wanted to carry on the series, so. Just because I actually really like this fucking story. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking and start talking. Does that excite you, going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel a fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses? You really think this is going to be like some kind of movie where the good guy saves the day? Probably not. Though that would be nice if it were. What's your deal anyway? They would train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something? We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking. Though he was rarely the one who suggested it. So you are the aggressor. What's an android get out of watching a flick anyway? What do I get? Why do you do it? What's your reason? Not sure how to answer your question. Never mind. Forgot what I was talking to. I like the performances. Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something? A handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. The truth is, besides father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I hadn't noticed. I read the net, and I watch people and what they share of their lives. But it's also subtle, so hard to follow. There's so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. They're all so complex, so detailed. Characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate, their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are fiction, so these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and end. The people on screen don't ask anything of you except your intention. Can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You could just watch and learn. What about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure. Back when I was a kid. So was that a flashback of Morgan? Or was it Sarah? Really? Who's your favorite director? What was your favorite film? It was a long time ago. I don't remember. Ooh. State building. Floor 48. 48. You know what? Let's go for a little bit until it transitions us actually into like a different room. I say give it a little more time, yeah. I really do not want to start on anything big. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse. Though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Misnomer? Misnomer? What does that mean? I love looking up new words. Wrong or basically just like a misnaming of a legal structure, it seems. Like, wrong term. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers, all encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper pushing queues. A couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead, that he'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in and walk in there and concede, and would be irritated and more than a little confused. I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain, loudly of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. I guess I don't plan to. Why? Must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David, who would never commit suicide, I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself. Not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I am making progress. Well shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It would be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a completion percent. Give it your best shot anyway. 4%. Sarah, we are so fucked. Are you feeling confident in your case? Arguably less so, after hearing that. Do you think the judge will be amendable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjutants are always a coin flip, so you do know on adjutants? I'm probably also not saying that word correctly. You're expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and gavel when we get in there. Did I not? Adjutants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm. We asked ChatGPT to decide the verdict of this case. So androids are used to reduce caseload. Been that way for decades. But how was a law that replaced judges ever enforced without would there be injunctions? Stalling? Judges didn't fight it for years, at every level, and in every theater. But the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budgets across the board. So judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants. And it's not controversial having machines determine sentencings for human beings. Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. Damn. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high-profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week. And that's not rushing things. Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I'm just surprised to hear that there's so much haste. Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? Gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick. I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Why aren't they used in politics? That's a logical question to ask. And the answer is, that logic only gets you so far when it comes to people. Doesn't everyone want the courts to be just as possible? If It's either adjutants or adjutant. Adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible. Everyone wants justice. But there are other considerations to be had. Such as? Disgust. What? It's all people really care about. Well, all their morals boil down to. It's what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you're surprised what you can get away with. I don't understand. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem. Okay, that's a pretty good stopping point, I think. Emma! No! We have to leave her! No! No! We gotta leave Emma! We'll see her next part! I've been waiting. I've been waiting to see more of Emma. We get to see her in action. Hell yeah! What? We are not getting into that tonight. I think that is best saved for next part because it is coincidentally 12:34, the iconic 1, 2, 3, 4. I love when I catch the 1, 2, 3, 4 time. But yeah, we are going into this case with a lot of things we don't know. We don't know how he was particularly poisoned. We don't know what he was particularly poisoned with, and who particularly poisoned him. We don't seem to have anything. But I think we'll somehow pull it off. We just have to prove that it wasn't him. That's all that we have to do. We don't need to necessarily catch who did it, we just need to prove that it wasn't David. That is who we are defending. But how we're gonna do that, I have no idea. We'll just have to see when the time comes, so yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye!